Welcome to the Yappy Hour, powered by Yappily, the podcast for dog lovers who want to better understand their canine companions. I'm your host, Nathan Dunleavy, and today we're going beyond behaviour and even beyond the body into the emotional and spiritual bond we share with our dogs. Joining me again is Caroline Griffith, a holistic canine expert, retreat facilitator, and creator of Canine Flow, a transformational approach that helps people explore the energy they share with their dogs. We're talking soul dogs, emotional mirroring, energy healing, and the kind of connection that changes both human and canine lives. So whether this is your first step into the spiritual side of dog care, or you've always felt something deeper at play, this episode is going to give you a lot to reflect on. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's get started. Welcome back to the Yappy Hour, powered by Yappily. I'm your host, Nathan Dunleavy, and I'm so excited to bring you another episode. Even more excited that we've got the amazing Caroline Griffith again.
Thank you.
Caroline, hi, welcome back to the Happy Hour. We've just explored nutrition, but now we're moving into something just as vital and fascinating: energy, emotion, and the soul level connection that we share with our dogs. So, for those that are new to your spiritual work, I love this. Can you give us an overview of what Canine Flow is all about, please?
Well, I run retreats for people and their guardians. And I also have an online course that teaches people about Canine Flow. So it came about because when I first started running retreats about 15 years ago, people were saying to me, what are you doing on these retreats? Because my dog is just so much calmer now and so different. And I thought it was just because I was on a retreat with you, because the retreats are sort of 6-7 days and
Oh,
they're quite long. I think the shortest I do is 5. But anyway, they were saying, "Oh, my dog's so different. Like what did you actually do?" And I kind of ended up that I put the techniques. I kind of worked out what it is I was actually doing and why it was that those techniques were working, and I put them into the online course as well, so that people
mm,
the world can learn. And from the online course as well, people are saying that their dogs are just completely different. And it was like the
really?
piece in the puzzle, because for me, we have worked with our dogs' neuro pathways, their thinking patterns, their anything, inside a dog's mind. I mean, you name it, there's been a book written about the dog's mental
Mm,
capacities, or whatever label you want to give it. But we don't necessarily always think about their soul and their sort of the subconscious side of them, even.
mm, mm.
And when you integrate that with compassionate dog training, it's like the other half of the story. It's the missing piece of the puzzle. And you go, wow, how have I not noticed this before? And
Yeah,
something clicks, and it really benefits dogs, because dogs need nourishing. And for me, on an emotional level, that's even more important sometimes than on a molecular level in the nutrition that we were talking before. When you're nourishing a dog molecularly, that's fantastic. But emotionally, if they're not nourished emotionally, that can affect them in the ways that we were talking about when we talked about nutrition. So I think
yeah,
there's this big opportunity here for us to learn so much more about our dogs in their subconscious, more energy based, more, I call it vital life force flow. That's why it's called Canine Flow,
mm,
about the dog's vital life force flow,
yeah,
and honoring that and understanding that. So that's where it starts from, really,
yeah,
Canine Flow. And I teach you various different techniques, and people do consistently say that their dogs are calmer, their dogs are better with other dogs. The dogs are better with people. The dogs bark less.
Wow.
All these, like over the years, I've just accumulated so many different people that I've worked with. And
It's amazing.
it is the other half of the picture. And you don't have to not do compassionate dog training. If you like doing compassionate dog training, you just crack on and do that, but you can do Canine Flow as well. Because I just haven't found anyone else that's offering something that really honors the dog's vital life force flow in terms of how that vital life force flow is expressed as behaviors.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I was just mesmerized in that then. Brilliant. Thank you for that explanation. So, Caroline, what led you from physical health and nutrition into this more emotional and energetic side of well-being?
They did kind of develop at the same time.
Yeah.
I must admit, they did sort of coincide with each other.
Mm.
So I think, yeah, they did. They did. I'm just trying to think, did one come first? But they've kind of interwoven, and
I
now
love that.
I'm very interested, and my latest rabbit hole to go down is water, which
Yes.
we mentioned when I was talking to you about nutrition at the very end. But water for me has the ability to show us our subconscious and show us what's going on for our dogs as well.
Mm.
So there's some wonderful work by somebody called Veda Austin, which comes along after somebody called Dr. Emoto. And both of these people have shown through photography that water can take on our emotions, our subconscious, and water can also be influenced by our conscious focused thoughts as well. So
Mm.
for me, water, and especially water photography, is the tool for us to see that actually it does matter how we feel and it does matter what we think. And any being that's made of water, even the water that we are drinking, so this water here, if I am subconsciously feeling guilty about something, the water will know. The water will take that on.
Mm.
And if I'm subconsciously excited about something, the water will take that on. So
Mm.
this is what water photography has been able to, with ice photography, really, because what they're doing is freezing it in a certain way to be able to photograph images within it. So
Mm.
that's but for me, that shows that our energy and our vital life force flow is having an impact on the outside world, which means that as a guardian, our emotional subconscious, not our conscious, but our emotional subconscious will be affecting our dog or any animal we live with. But also, dogs will be able to sense the emotional energy and the vital life force flow, the state, if you like, state of being of other dogs. So, this is why they just
Yeah.
automatically feel comfortable around some dogs, whereas they don't want to be around other dogs. And some dogs make them really want to ground on each other. So dogs have basically what they're doing, and this is part of the Canine Flow teaching, if you like. But what they're doing is they're grounding out their emotional flow. So emotional flow wants to flow. Vital life force flow wants to flow through. Okay, it doesn't
Yeah.
stop. And we know this from all the different therapies that we
Mm.
utilize with dogs to help our dogs. So acupuncture calls it chi, Indian healing calls it prana. There's all sorts of names that are given to us, but essentially our vital life force flow, it wants to flow through us. It doesn't want to be stuck. It doesn't want to become stagnant, because that's when you have ailments. But that stagnant energy that isn't able to ground and isn't able to flow through the dog and ground back down to planet Earth, that energy, it becomes frustration, becomes like a loaded spring. And a dog can be full of this on a subconscious level. It's not even something we see consciously. And then all of a sudden they find something that they want to, what I call, ground on, and they will ground in a flash. And we'll say, well, where did that come from? Well, it's not normally like that, but it's just that frequency has been stuck in the dog for so long. And then suddenly it met its match and it grounded. And it might not even be on another dog. It could be on, I don't know, a toy in the park that they suddenly see, and you're like, oh, we never normally get to other people's toys, you know, and I'm so embarrassed. I'm ever so sorry. You have it back, you know, oh, it won't give it back, you know, because he really wants to ground down on this toy. So they have this energy that flows through them. And it's an emotional based energy. It's a subconscious based energy. And I believe that if we allow that to be grounded and we give them lots of grounding opportunities, that supports them. It builds resilience.
Mm.
And it also means that the energy has been grounded. So it's not stuck in their body to either become an ailment or to come out in a rush in a different behavior. So that's a very small part, the small part of Canine Flow. It's there's lots to it, but it's a different way of seeing our dogs.
Yeah.
It's Canine Flow.
Yeah.
It is like the other part to the story with them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's absolutely fascinating. Okay, so let's move on to our first section then. So we have sort of touched on it. So apologies if I repeat a question or we explore, delve a little bit deeper. But what is Canine Flow? So how would you explain Canine Flow to someone who's never encountered that kind of work before?
It's a deep way of working with your dogs. It's a heart-based way. It's a soul-based way.
Love that.
It's a way that you can find a stronger connection,
Mm.
but also to just understand yourself a bit better and to also understand why it is your dog specifically is with you.
Mm.
Because usually I believe they find us, we think
Yeah.
it's for them, but actually they kind of find us. And
Mm.
there's a lot of empowerment and healing that can happen in a relationship with your dog. Uh,
Yeah.
and Canine Flow honors that really, because we need
Mm.
to be addressing, do need to be addressing that. And dogs are very heart-based animals. I mean,
They are.
one of the most favorite places for a dog to ground onto is actually on you. And, you know, they don't always ground in this rushed way. That's just one example. But they want to ground on you. They want to connect with you. They want to have that heart-to-heart connection. They want to be able to reach you emotionally and reach you subconsciously. Um,
Mm.
Often in life, we're either too busy, so the barrier goes up and the dog can't
Mm.
get through energetically, or we have got a considerable amount of grief or guilt or things we're carrying, which might be from past lives, might be epigenetic from our ancestors, might be from this lifetime, might be childhood trauma. It almost doesn't matter what the reason. We can be carrying these things, and that actually energetically means the dog can't quite connect with you, can't quite ground on you.
Mm.
And so we can see behaviors happening in the dogs that we sort of go down the route of traditional training, we go down the route of compassionate training, all the different methods. We've tried all sorts of things. And yet, when you can understand how energy is with dogs and how they exchange energy with us and how they want to exchange energy with us,
Mm.
see things differently, and it gives you solutions that you're never going to see if you're always believing that the dog is a thinking being. So, for
Mm.
instance, separation anxiety is a really good one for this because dogs that cannot ground on you emotionally are never quite subconsciously safe. So, when you go
Mm.
of the dog's vicinity, if you like, because some dogs
Yeah.
can't even go to the blooming loo, can you? Without
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so,
I know what
you know,
that's like.
it depends on the separation anxiety, the level of it. But when you go out to the dog's vicinity, they feel very vulnerable. And
Mm.
so they show symptoms that we would label as separation anxiety. But really, if they could ground on you, if they could get to you emotionally, if they could really connect with you, the rest of the time when you were there, when you went away, it wouldn't matter so much to them.
Mm.
So usually with separation anxiety, there's something there to clear, and the dog's behavior is more like a message rather than a problem.
Okay. Yeah, because I said to you in our previous episode that I've got a dog with SA, so I find it. I'm really interested in
So
all this
yeah,
side.
so with multiple dogs in a household, sometimes it can be because the dog with separation can't get to you because the other ones do. So it can be that. So it's
Mm.
then assessing what's happening energetically with these this group of dogs. And, it isn't even as basic as one's getting pushed out. That's too conscious. This will be something else that's happening. Now, it could be just that the dog as a container, their body itself, their physical self, isn't able to hold what I call charge of energy. So the flow, the vital life force flow is flowing through them, and it's a little bit like an electric charge. It has substance. It's a thing. Emotional energy is a thing. We don't feel the same throughout the day. We have constant changes of emotions, and they flow through us. And usually we will find ways to ground ourselves. So we might do something creative, or, we might clean and hoover, really get into the corners and, really ground ourselves, or we might just potter around, moving things about a bit and just dispersing our energy. So however we do it, we usually find a way, but we don't realize we're doing it.
Yeah.
Dogs, if they don't have the opportunity to ground, they get it built up and it becomes like a charge in them. And for some dogs, they can handle that charge that, they've got hydrated fascia and they're not in pain and their proprioception's okay. So they can handle a bit of charge. They can handle a bit of stagnated flow. But for other dogs, they've got something going on for them and they can't handle that. Any kind of emotional charge or any kind of stagnation there, it triggers them into some kind of behavior that we would label as an issue.
Yeah.
So part of canine flow is kind of a 3-part thing, really, because we look at what's happening for the dog that could be creating a charge for them or creating stagnation, or kind of, if you like, affecting them and influencing them. Then look at them as a whole. How resilient are they to energy and emotions?
Yeah.
Like I was just describing. And then we look at how many opportunities to ground the emotion and be in the flow do these dogs have. So sometimes, because dogs really like grounding and connecting with us, sometimes it's that they want to be around our energy and our frequency. So our heart is a big energy place for them. They can really connect with our heart. Dogs actually have the biggest heart per body mass of any creature walking the planet, which I think is amazing.
That is amazing.
Because it's like they can sense more than any other creature what's going on for us in our hearts. So what's going on for us subconsciously. I mean, so the fields really can connect. So the heart is important, but the other place that we have lots of our energy and our frequency is actually in our feet. So because we're standing and we're grounded, using them all the time. If you wear socks all day and then take your sock off and you give that to your dog, you're in a sense connecting with them on an energy level. So a lot of dogs that have behavioral issues, if you start giving them things that have your frequency, it sounds like a completely bonkers thing to do. This woman's telling me to get all my old socks or even my new ones and give but it's amazing how that makes them feel safer. It makes them feel grounded. And and they discharge their charge. They get back in the flow by chewing on this or by sleeping near it or by ruffling it into their bed like they might do. It really supports them. Being close to you is so vital to a dog. This is why they will always take your seat. It's not because it's warm.
Oh, right.
Your energy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's my SA dog licks my feet.
Try
He licks my feet. Now,
Yeah.
from my dog training background, the licking promotes calmness and helps reduce
Well, it will do as well, the endorphins
yeah,
and all the
yeah, but
Yeah.
he licks my feet every day
Yeah.
in the morning.
Yeah. How funny is that? Yeah.
He's my SA dog and he licks my
Really
feet.
trying to connect with you. So I don't know if he's the poodle or
He is the toy poodle.
You could get him one of these sling things. I saw them at Crofts this year, and have him next to you for a certain period of the day. I bet
Right.
you change a bit because you're really connecting heart to heart with him.
Oh, I love that.
You know
I'm
what?
gonna.
You so got to do that. You so because
I am gonna do it.
Yeah, any excuse to have him. Well, I've been told it'll help us back.
Oh, I love that. What kind of transformation do you see when people begin to explore their emotional energy through their relationship with their dog, Caroline?
I find that for the guardians, they feel calmer.
I
Um,
bet.
yeah, they're less anxious about things. They see life more clearly. They trust their instincts more, so they're making better decisions. So if
Mm,
they were worried that they wouldn't find a better job than the one they're in, they may find that what they considered an issue in the job that they're in actually frees itself up and flows better. So their flow does improve as well. They find they're back in the flow again.
mm.
Also, they can be more creative again. I've had people come on my retreats, and then I've had an email like 3 days after saying, I'm amazed. I've come back and picked up my guitar for the first time in years, and I
Oh,
feel
wow.
amazing. You know, things like that that you don't even expect. And people just feel so free again.
Mm,
Because when your energy and your creativity is not being expressed, there's no fulfillment in life, is there? You
mm.
can get fed up and twitchy and just not
Yeah,
eat.
yeah. Brilliant. Why do you think dogs are such natural empaths or mirrors for us?
Well, there was that study in 2017, wasn't there? The University of Vienna that kind of showed that dogs would read from us.
Mm,
They would take emotional cues from us, which totally makes sense in terms of body language. I think that's the main thing they were looking at. So we kind of know that that happens, but I do think that they are sensing. They are sensing so much more than we realize. And I don't just mean with their sense or with their hearing being so much stronger than ours, that kind of thing. But their heart, as I mentioned, they do have this bigger heart mass, so they can sense our energies and our emotions
mm,
are stronger than any other creature. But they also, through their BNO, are able to detect feelings and emotions. So hormones do have a chemical composition, and that chemical composition does give off a scent. It does give off a smell, if you like, but it's not detected by normal scent glands. It's detected by the VNO. So the VNO is like their emotional sensing detector,
mm,
and they utilize that all the time. When I see a dog walking down the street, I see a being of energy with a huge heart field that isn't thinking its way through life, it's sensing its way through life.
mm,
We probably do live like that as well, but because we're so geared up to think about things, we don't necessarily realize how much of what we do is actually just magnetic energy flow.
mm,
We're attracted towards certain things because they make us feel better, and it is about feeling. We probably don't realize how often we do this because we override it with our mind and we consciously say, oh, well, I liked that because I've always liked that color, or, I've always liked being in that kind of place. And we justify it with our mind. But I don't think dogs are doing that. And when I see them like these energy flows that are a little bit like magnets,
mm,
because the heart is a very magnetic organ. And dogs do need to ground this energy. And yes, enrichment is an opportunity for them to do that for sure. But I think we need to be jazzing up that enrichment so it's more grounding for them. And
mm,
like I said, using things that smell of us is usually really key for that. So for me, when I see two dogs coming together, I'm seeing two magnets. They're
mm.
not thinking. They're not thinking, do I know that dog? Did I see that dog? How do I feel today? Should I do this? What's mum going to say? How's mum feeling today? None of that. Just like two kids that see each other in the park, that haven't seen each other maybe since, I don't know, a few days or something, or whatever reason they're excited to see each other. They don't think, oh, should I do this? Or do I like that person? Or they're just like, oh, it's my friend. Or oh,
Mm.
it's that person that I don't like, or whatever they might feel about them, and
Yeah.
they just either play or they don't play. So when I see dogs coming together, it's like magnets, and it's like when you see it, you can't unsee it. And
Mm,
it's quite hard to describe, but when you see it, you can't unsee it. And almost all of it is about, say, for instance, I'll go to the park and there's a particular dog that so wants to ground on Fusa. So as soon as he sees my dog, it's like huge charge of emotion comes in and he just wants to ground on her. And he doesn't necessarily want to ground with his mouth. He might just want to tap her with his paws. But because she's frailer and older and only got 3 legs, my dog, and she's
Oh,
than him because he's a really cool staffy rescue. He's absolutely gorgeous. And I made a fuss of him and he's super, but it's too much for her.
yeah.
But whatever's going on with her and the fact she's wonky and her energy's probably not completely aligned, it brings up this emotional charge in him and he just wants to ground that energy. He wants to ground her. He doesn't want to hurt her, but he would do.
Yeah.
He didn't get to her. But I see it like magnets. They're
I love that.
magnets to each other and they're not thinking and they can't, like, the thought can't interject because magnetism is such a strong energy and emotions are electromagnetic by nature. They're energy in motion. That's what emotion is, energy in motion. And it should be in motion and it should be flowing and it should be allowed to ground. So you learn to see dogs completely differently with Canine Flow, but it's not so different that you don't want to do compassionate dog training. It fits in so well with compassionate dog training. It's, as I've said, it is like the missing link, the other side of dogs that we haven't been utilizing. And when we do, for me, it just completely transforms things. You go, oh my God, and yes, I get it. Oh, that's why he likes doing this. And that's why he does that strange behavior. And it all just slots into place.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. I love that. Thank you so much. And moving on to our next section, which is all about soul dogs and emotional mirroring. What is a soul dog in inverted commas in your view, and how can people recognize if they've had one?
I think that dogs do put themselves in front of the right people. There's something, I think there's more to life. And I know it might seem a bit esoteric and a bit out there and maybe a bit woo-woo, but I just feel like there is more to life than just what we see consciously and materially. And I do feel that dogs put themselves with the right people somehow. And it's like most people you talk to will say, oh, he found me or she found me.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that, I think, is where the beginning of a soul dog relationship. If you can recognize it, then you can have that soul dog relationship. I do feel, though, even if people haven't got that way of viewing life at all, dogs are empowerers. And even people who will find themselves with a dog, they're a dog guardian, they very often start a business because they are owning that dog, because they're living with that dog. And it might not be spiritual at all. It might just be collars or, little booties or something, but the dog has inspired them. The dog has, just by being in their house and around them, opened their creativity.
Yeah.
So something goes on there where, for me, even that, even though we're not recognizing it necessarily, well, they're not, as a soul change, that is, because it's progression, evolution, and development of their life. So I think that one of the reasons that we have so many, if you like, stages that we go through when we're learning about dogs is because dogs are here to help us with our evolution towards opening our hearts. And very often people get dogs and it's all about, oh, I need to understand the mind of the dog. I really need to get my dog's mind. I need to be able to understand them. I need to be able to control them, And then they evolve and they go, actually, and they relax a bit and their heart opens a bit and things start to shift and change. And then they understand about compassionate dog training and they really get into this and they want to have fun with their dog and their heart's open. And then the more they go, they realize they come on one of my retreats and they're meditating with their dog. It's like, how far along the journey do you go in your connection with your dog? And I think that's why we're always going to have people that are at different stages with their dogs and their understanding of dogs. And it can be frustrating, I think, if you're at like a level a bit further along the journey where you've noticed that the dog is an emotional being and you can't understand why people would ever be mean to them, or why people would ever use, prawn collars. And, obviously I'm not advocating them, but, you can't understand it because you think, well, how would you ever do that? You just
I
can't.
know.
But every human is on their journey. Every
Mm,
human is evolving and developing and learning how to open their hearts. And for some people, they are quite shut down. They may have had extreme childhood trauma. They may have had a lot of epigenetic stuff going on that's influencing how they are in this life. But everyone's on their journey. And I just think dogs accelerate it a bit. They're
yeah,
like sticking themselves in front of us to accelerate our heart opening.
yeah. Just a quick follow-up question to that one. You hear people say they're heart dogs. So is a heart dog similar to a soul dog?
It's kind
Yeah.
of, I think so. Yeah. Or whether they recognize that is another matter. I think really to understand the soul dog, you have to understand about the electromagnetic energy and the magnetism and how that presents itself in behaviors and expressions that the dog does and how we can work with that instead of seeing that as an issue.
Brilliant. So moving on to our next question. How might a dog's reactivity, anxiety, or behavior reflect something going on with their human?
Very similar to what I've just suggested. Often that they are playing out an emotion that we've got held subconsciously, or they don't feel as safe because we have shut down an aspect of ourselves subconsciously and they can't connect with us. Sometimes it can be the things we really believe as well that
Mm,
are really running us, or our beliefs about ourselves can play out in our reality. And water shows us that. Water photography has shown that the things we think and the things we feel can be revealed in the outside world. So
mm,
what we're putting out there, we can create happening, and our dog just gets caught up in the middle of that. That can
mm,
happen too. Or we can have a lot of fear about something. We end up manifesting that fear, if you like to use that term.
mm.
So there's many different ways. We talk
Yeah.
in the course, actually, on the online course, I go through quite a lot of different ways.
Okay.
But they really
Good.
do influence us. And a lot of it is to do with our heart energy and our heart expansion. I never forget, it was a scent work class years ago. And the lady who was teaching it, she said she totally didn't know what she was saying, but she said, if the importance of what she was saying. She said, if you get the toy or you get whatever it is you want your dog to go and find, and you hold it and you love that toy and you hold it against your heart and you bash it against your heart, the dog will find it quicker. And I thought, well, yes, because then it's covered in your magnetic energy. It's like they'll probably see it. They won't. The VA doesn't even need to find it, but it's like she didn't realize the importance of what she was saying. And I thought that's
Really?
interesting. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Fascinating. Do love a bit of scent work.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Brilliant.
Uh,
Brilliant. I mean, that's very grounding.
yeah.
Very grounding.
Caroline, what's your experience of helping people shift their energy and seeing their dog's behavior change as a result?
Oh, well, lots. Yeah,
Mm,
lots on the retreats. So a very simple one that I never forget was a lady. She was quite tall and she had a dachshund. And she just said to me towards the end of the retreat that this has just been phenomenal for me because I didn't realize that the physical disconnection was influencing us
mm,
emotionally. And so she felt like she just slowed down completely. And
mm.
throughout the week, her dog's behavior got calmer. He barked less.
Wow.
He was, because dachshunds do bark a lot. And I
Yeah.
think there is because the owners are quite fast paced and they're not like, they're only little and the little leggies can't walk that quick. It's like, just, like they
I
really
know.
slow, calm guardians. And
Yes.
world does not encourage slow calm, does it?
No.
So
So
you stop.
the dogs are like picking up on our energy and anxieties, and aren't they? Like that.
That's part of it. Yes, they're picking up, but mainly they're picking up subconsciously because the
Okay.
conscious stuff is quite easy for them to sort of notice and ground, or we can change it. It's the subconscious stuff that's influencing the behaviors.
Mm.
which sounds really scary, but actually it's not. When you learn Canine Flow techniques, you can release that pretty quickly. You don't think about where it came from, although I did mention it as an example tonight, but you don't necessarily need to think about where it came from. You need to know where you're going. And that's what the dog's here to support you with. And as soon as you focus on where you're going in life, not where you've been, that is linked in with how your dog's behavior changes. Because they're here to help accelerate our heart expansion, which is all about where we're going in life, not where we've been. Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question.
No, it's perfect. It's just fascinating. I'm literally mesmerized by it all. Moving on to our next section. So you mentioned your retreats. So retreats, healing spaces, and emotional shifts. Can you walk us through a typical retreat day? What can people expect from this experience?
Yeah, well, the retreats, we usually have 3 meals a day, which is far too much for me. But if you're a foodie, then you'll love it.
I'm a foodie.
A lovely buffet breakfast. We do a meditation after that.
Lovely.
We do some kind of class or workshop or teaching kind of thing. Sometimes it's just a chat about different behaviors and things we've seen and how that relates to the dog's energy and emotional flow and magnetic flow. Then we have lunch, and then we tend to finish off the workshop, or we might go for a dog walk and then come back and finish off the workshop. Because we do group dog walks as well. And then we'll do another meditation, and then we'll have dinner. And usually everybody's very tired and wants to books that they brought with them for the retreat. If not, people stay up chatting and drinking tea. Lots of tea involved retreat. Yeah, and everyone gets their own mug with the dog's name on it and their name on it and what have you. So yeah.
That's lovely.
But what I have found over the years is the retreats are very practical. I like them to be quite practical. I don't like there to be loads of sort of excess teaching, if you like. There's teaching that happens anyway. The observational way that Canine Flow is about observation, and you can't help but do that all the time. So what I did is I put the sort of theory side of it into the online course because I felt that it was too much for the retreat. So what I encourage people to do is to take the online course and come on a retreat once you've done the online course, because then you have that foundational understanding and you know why we're saying what we're saying on the retreat. The retreat is not a cutesy holiday with your dog. The retreat is about putting into practice transformational principles that will shift behaviors for you and your dog. It's not about, come on, let's have a jolly time. It's actually just the most amazing experience.
I'm sure.
Love it. But do you know, like, it's not a holiday.
No, there's work to be done.
Transformational work. Yeah.
Transformational work. So you sort of answered this with the group dog walks, but my next question is do the dogs participate too? And how do they respond in that calm and connected space?
I am telling you that I do not have somebody come on the retreat that doesn't say to me, there's probably too many double negatives, but everybody says their dog will not settle. Everybody says it. Really? Every dog settles.
Wow.
Every dog settles.
That would be my worry.
They are just great. They settle often more easily than the humans do.
I wonder if because the human is being a bit more grounded and calm and settled, the dog's kind of then thinking, oh, okay, I'll be the same.
Yeah, they also there's a lot of nature where the retreat is, so the air is very fresh, everything's earthy. You know, I think that helps as well. Usually the first day, the first kind of afternoon and evening, we don't do anything too intense. So the dogs just have a chance to get to know each other. There's tons of space there. You know, they can run around in and they can get to know each other. And the people get used to where everything is, because you feel quite vulnerable if you don't quite know what's around the corner, don't you? So it's that sort of first day or so.
Getting to know.
No, by the third day, everyone's like, God, it feels like we've known each other for ages. All the dogs just playing, and no one can ever believe it. And
that's amazing. Brilliant. So, what do people tend to come away with after a few days immersed in this kind of healing environment?
Certainly with new perspectives, with new
Mm,
techniques that they're going home with to sort of keep using. Although you get some of those in the online course as well, to be fair. But yeah, with just that sense of peace and that sense that there is hope and there is another opportunity so that for
mm,
them to be this way with their dogs and that they don't have to do this instead of dog training and the things that they love doing,
mm,
love other ways like clicker training or something. So it's just that sense actually as well that they don't have to be right all the time. They don't have to be a perfect dog owner, that they can be
mm,
themselves and that the connection with their dog is actually more important than what other people think about
mm.
their dog. And that kind of understanding of their dog as an individual and just feeling more at peace and
Yeah.
understanding the quirky bits that they maybe didn't understand about before. Like one lady said to me, and this was actually on the online course, she said to me that her dog always used to sit in doorways, or if they went to like a hotel or something like that, he would always just sit in the middle of the corridor. And she used to get so embarrassed and she'd be like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry." He was like this big, quite hard to move dog. And yeah, and he used to sit and she always used to get embarrassed and think, "Why is he doing this? I just wanted to come in the hotel room." And when she understood that he liked to sit in the energy traffic areas and ground that energy and he
Oh,
that, it made so much sense. So she, "Oh
definitely.
my God, that's why he does. That's why he sits in the doorway." So she said, "I'm always tripping over him." And it was like, and he shifted her way of looking at it. It shifted any frustration she had. And she said he hasn't done it as much since.
Bit of a light bulb moment for
Yeah. And they don't do it as much. Once you
Oh,
move that frustration around it, they don't do it as much.
yeah. Oh, brilliant. Love that. So moving on to our final section for this episode then is all about intuition. That's a big word. Grief and spiritual support. I hope I said intuition, Matt. I think I did. Caroline, how can people begin tuning into their dog's emotional world in a more intuitive way?
I think when it starts with the guardian having to be in that place where they can access their intuition. So
Mm,
starting to even learn to meditate and sit and meditate with their dog, even for sort of 5-10 minutes a day,
mm,
would
mm.
be really good for sure. And that starts to build that sort of energy connection with themselves and that awareness. It's about awareness of how they're feeling. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, and then dive deeper into the
Mm.
online course for sure. That is going to,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's how I do it. And yeah, I mean, I've had a long time to kind of put this together. Been running the retreats for kind of 15 odd years, and the courses only been
Oh, wow.
a few. So I wanted to make sure that it had everything in an easily understandable way, in a way that could translate into the practicalities of life as well.
Mm. Oh, wow. Sounds fascinating. Brilliant. So you also support guardians through grief. Can you tell us about that part of your work?
Well, that is also linked in with the subconscious. So I think I haven't specifically gone out to do that, but grief is an interesting emotion because it's a little bit, the separation anxiety is a little bit like grief in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah. So, and not being it, grief is about not having all this emotion and all this love and all this electromagnetic energy for something and not having a place to put it.
Mm.
So that's why we can even say that if you have a breakup of a relationship and you lose that person in your life, even though they haven't died,
No, but you do grieve the
there
relationship.
you to put your energy onto. And dogs doing the same in the sense that they want to put their energy somewhere. And so I think grief is very much linked in with this. Where do I put my energy now?
Mm. Mm.
Instead, I'm not reducing it in any way, shape, or form because I've lost both my parents. My mum was only 68. So she was,
Oh, gosh.
so, I've been through that. And,
Mm.
but there is an element of it that it's where do I put my energy? What do I do with this kind of feeling. And just by understanding how feelings work on a vital life force flow level, where they're going, what you're doing with them, how you can build your own body to be resilient, to be a container for those emotions and not to be held somatically and turn into ailments. It is the understanding of it, I think, that shifts. And the understanding that we don't need to suppress it, and that actually, as dog guardians, we are incredibly lucky that we have our dogs by our side to be an accelerator for us to release these feelings and let them ground from us. We're the lucky ones. If we
are.
Yeah, we really are.
Mm.
And we know it, don't we, as well. We feel it inside.
Yeah.
Because they will accelerate our heart expansion. They will accelerate all of humanity. I don't think it's an accident that during the lockdown, loads of people went out to get a dog. I don't, because if ever there was a time that we needed to raise our consciousness, it was during those times, wasn't
That's
it? Really?
right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all the dogs were like, right, I'm going to get it from this person, this person, this person. Yeah.
Yeah. But then they didn't foresee about having to go back to work full time. And that's when all my work, I'm an SA certified trainer. So that's when that all went through the roof.
What of course happens then is that the dog loses their opportunities to ground because the people aren't around as much. And because we are so led down the route that the dog is choosing to do it mentally, the people get frustrated with the dog because they're not viewing the dog as a feeling being. They're viewing the dog as a mental choice based thinking and choosing to do these things. So when we shift to really understanding that our dogs just have this emotional flow and they just want to connect with us, and when we can learn these ways to help those dogs through that change, I think that, well, even just doing some dog training can be connecting with them, some compassionate dog training. But a lot of people went back to work and did nothing because they haven't got to that stage yet in their lives where they can see things in that feeling-based way.
Yeah.
Does that anything else? So
Yeah, that's fine. I just, because whilst you were chatting then, you've said about the grief and like the subconscious as well and how they pick up on that. Is that just a sideline question? Is the whole subconscious thing like when they know you're upset or you're poorly, is that come from? Because when I'm upset or I'm poorly, I'm sure my dogs know that I am because they want to comfort me.
yes, well, your energy frequency would change. So what they're doing as well is they're not just comforting you, they're trying to ground your energy. So they
Right.
sense that there's an issue and they want to come and help you to ground it. Not mentally, it's just an attraction. Dogs are just attracted to energy. That's what I mean by it's two magnets coming together. So they are constantly attracted to energy and energy frequency in its various different forms. So they're energy beings that are walking through a soup of energy. Really, this whole world is a soup of different frequencies at different vibratory rates, some so much that they're solid. And I know that goes into the whole quantum science a little bit, but that is kind of the reality of what we live in. And everything really has an emotional frequency to it, all plants, everything. And they're measurable these days. It's not even woo. There's loads of techniques to measure these things. And there's loads of studies out there published. The Institute of Heart Math have got loads. So I think that I've gone off on a tangent. What was your question?
No, I was just saying they picked up on me being
Oh,
poorly
yes.
or upset.
So they will. And when they're sensing cancer in a patient, they can sense the energy, the frequency of that tumor. So 100% that's how they're doing it with their BNO. Often emotions are linked in with cancer tumors, or cancer patients have a lot of emotion. So that's what they're doing there. So everything really that they're doing is connecting with an energy frequency in some way, shape, or form. So if your dog knew that you were going to get ill a few days before and started displaying behaviors, and you got used to that, they only do that behavior if I'm about to get ill. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Because they really do sense your subconscious. But when you're consciously ill, you probably act differently and they will be looking to ground your energy, because that's what dogs do for us.
Yeah.
That's what they're here, I think, almost to help us to do.
Yeah. Fascinating. So what role does daily mindfulness or spiritual practice play in strengthening our bonds with our dogs?
Well, I guess I feel like a lot of it is I've kind of already said, but yeah, it will build the connection. It will allow us to drop our guard, if you like, of our subconscious, so that the dog can help us to ground and connect with those energies, so they can flow from us. So yeah, and it's generally calming on the nervous system as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
Yeah.
calming on the nervous system. So on a physical level,
Yeah.
we will function more optimally. Our proprioception and our physical flow will be better. So that will help the dog to feel more safe as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. We're going to start spending the final few minutes just wrapping up this episode. It's been absolutely fascinating. Loved it. So just some final thoughts and questions, Caroline, if I may. For someone who's curious but unsure about this type of work, where would you recommend they start?
Maybe my YouTube channel.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, my website has some blogs and things, but the YouTube channel's got lots of stuff you can watch.
Yeah. Is that called Canine Flow?
No, actually, it's called Live With, Love, Woof, and Wonder. In fact, it might be just Love, Woof, and Wonder. I don't think the Live With is there. So it's Love, Woof, and Wonder.
Okay. Yeah. So have a look for that YouTube channel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. What would you say is your biggest hope for guardians who go through this emotional, spiritual journey with their dog?
The biggest hope for them, that they find who they truly are, that they recognize who they truly are, and they feel that they're living their purpose with their dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Caroline, where can people learn more? Download your meditation or join a future retreat, please.
canineflow.com. Nice and easy, that one. Nice and short, just canineflow.com. I thoroughly encourage you to do the online course. It's so cool. I'm really proud of it. It's only 333 quid as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's not even a lot.
Yeah.
I'm available for those that want to do that. And from time to time, I do that in person as well.
Okay.
And or I do the odd day retreat sometimes as well.
Oh, okay.
People have really had quite a lot of transformations just doing the online course, so much so they're like, oh, I don't think I need to come to a retreat. But other people are like, I want to do both. So
yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you so much, Caroline. I knew that I had an interest in nutrition anyway, but now I want to know more.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. So I'm going to be exploring all your nutrition work. And I want to look at the course. I want to learn more about Canine Flow because it's been absolutely fascinating. Such an interesting subject, and I'm so glad that we had this space to be able to, shine a light on this. That was such a powerful, reflective conversation with Caroline Griffith. Here are a few key takeaways from today's episode. Number 1, dogs often mirror our emotional state. When we heal, they often begin to settle and shift too. Number 2, you may have had a soul dog and not even realized it. These deeply connected dogs often come into our lives to help us grow or process something profound. Number 3, you don't have to be woo to benefit from energy awareness. Presence, calm, and emotional clarity are helpful for everyone, especially our dogs. Number 4, you can start with just a moment of stillness. Whether it's Caroline's free soul dog meditation or a retreat weekend, it all begins with a willingness to listen. Caroline, thank you for reminding us that our dogs aren't just companions, they're teachers, healers, and emotional mirrors. For anyone listening or interested in exploring this further, please visit canineflow.com to download Caroline's free meditation and to explore her retreats, courses, and online community. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, subscribe, and share it with a friend who's ever called their dog their soulmate. This has been the Yappy Hour, and I'll see you next time. Part of the work that you do alongside your nutrition work. Caroline Griffith, thank you so much for joining me on the Yappy Hour, powered by Yappily. I've had so much fun recording with you. We've got 2 fantastic episodes, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I've enjoyed chatting to you. You're a very open person, and yeah, I'd love to meet the Chihuahuas one day.
Well, we could definitely arrange it. And the poodles, they get jealous of
Noodles, yes.
They're drama queens.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'd love that. But no, we'll have to get you back on again, Carol, because I feel we've only touched the surface with some of the nutrition stuff as well. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, and we'll chat again soon.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you. That was such a powerful, reflective conversation with Caroline Griffith. Here are a few key takeaways from today's episode. Number 1, dogs often mirror our emotional state. When we heal, they often begin to settle and shift too. Number 2, you may have had a soul dog and not even realised it. These deeply connected dogs often come into our lives to help us grow or process something profound. Number 3, you don't have to be woo to benefit from energy awareness. Presence, calm, and emotional clarity are helpful for everyone, especially our dogs. Number 4, you can start with just a moment of stillness. Whether it's Caroline's free soul dog meditation or a retreat weekend, it all begins with a willingness to listen. Caroline, thank you for reminding us that our dogs aren't just our companions, they're teachers, healers, and emotional mirrors. For anyone listening that's interested in exploring this further, please visit canineflow.com to download Caroline's free meditation and explore her retreats, courses, and online community. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a review, subscribe, and share it with a friend who's ever called their dog their soulmate. This has been the Yappy Hour, and I'll see you next time.